So, you founded the Mental Pain and Trauma Center. It's nationwide in all 50 states. So let's kind of get into that. What gaps in treatment were you seeing that led to the creation of this center specifically?
Well, it seemed like for years, personal injury lawyers were just focused on working with the physical issues that a client had. And I mean, I remember my first car accident. I was 17, 16 or 17. I got rear-ended, and my father was friends with this attorney, through his work as a psychologist. He was friends with an attorney that did personal injury work also. It was a general practice, but he did personal injury too. And they're like, go to the physical therapist, go get an x-ray done, all this stuff. So I was going to those doctors. And meantime, I was like, I didn't know if I ever wanted to drive again. I was young and I got pounded by what felt like a tank. I was just rear-ended, but it was the shock of it all was like, I don't know if I can ever get behind a wheel again. I mean, even at a young age, I felt like that. And but that wasn't really addressed. So I felt like there was a need to address the issues of trauma for the people that had been in injury situations, whether it be car accidents or you know um, slip and falls, whatever there might have been that could have traumatized them. Because we what we do know from research is that anytime there's a physical injury, there's also some emotional issues that go along with that physical injury. And sometimes when you're able to remove the anxiety that comes along with a physical injury, that reduces a lot of the pain that people suffer from. So
Mhm.
I'm very interested in the connection between the pain and suffering somebody has emotionally and how that affects the physical pain as well. So that's my research. I do a lot of research in that area. So interested on that in that.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And just literally 2 weeks ago, I was in a rear end collision, like just complete stop, waiting for somebody to turn, and someone hit me going like 40, 45 miles an hour. Thankfully, I wasn't injured. Um, the other driver didn't have any injuries, but what I found myself from the mental side is like I'm like keyed up, like really paying attention, looking in my rearview mirror, like almost worried that they're going to hit me at all times. So I'm slowing down way more, and I didn't even have like a major accident. So I can only imagine what some of these individuals, like, going under someone's car, or maybe having the jaws of life trying to pry open a door or something, would um, have on them.
Sure, it's a common issue that we deal with every day in our practice. I mean, some of the stories we hear are just it makes me not want to get in the car again. And I know a lot of the people around my office are like, they've become very cautious driving since they've heard all these stories that the clients have to tell. So
Yeah. So let's talk about this. Can you walk us through just some of the most common types of cases that you handle?
I would say the most common types of cases are car wrecks with a significant injury involved in the car wreck, but we also handle car wrecks where there's not major injuries, and we wonder, why are we working with this person? But we're still helping them because, they haven't been able to go to work, or they haven't, they've fallen out of time with family because their stress is higher than it ever was because they're dealing with, whether it be not having a car anymore or, you know, the injury that they're dealing with is just it's a nagging injury that's bothering them and they're not able to play sports anymore. So usually it's something that takes them out of their normal lifestyle, whatever that might be, whether it be taking them out of work, taking them out of a social situation, taking them out of family situations. We have plenty of grandparents that come in here that, they want to play with their grandkids, but they just can't lift them up anymore. And it's really, it's affecting them very deeply because they feel like this is their chance to, really be there and be a role model for their grandkids or their kids for parents, and they're not able to do that anymore because they're not able to function in the same way, and that really has a major effect on their life and everything they're doing. It's just kind of like a domino effect. So we try to help them get back on their feet again emotionally. Um, these are the things that don't show up on MRIs, right? But they
Yeah.
do show up on a self report, about how much their life has changed, and we try to get them back to the level they were at before they had an injury happen to them. And we also deal with wrongful death cases a lot, and that those, there's not really any kind of provider that the survivors can go to because they weren't injured necessarily physically, but the
Hmm.
grief that they're experiencing is terrible. So they come to us for an evaluation and treatment, and it's everlasting change they have because they've lost somebody to some kind of situation that wasn't the person's fault, and it was totally unexpected most of the time.
Yeah. So let's kind of flip it on the other side. So, like, you're doing a very honorable thing, helping these individuals with therapy and like, the mental health side of things from the consumer perspective. Talk to me a little bit about why maybe a litigating attorney, how you would work with those individuals to basically, they want to help their clients, but they also want to tailor evidence to support, their case. So talk to me about, like, the B2B side.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say most of our work is really in the pre-lit area because
Mm,
most of the cases that we take are situations that aren't going to go to litigation necessarily, but they're in pre-lit. They're trying to develop the case enough to have their arguments with the insurance adjusters about what the needs of this client is. So, the percentages of going to litigation are pretty low, but when they go to litigation, that's usually we do that on a retainer versus a lien, which we'll do for the pre-lit. So the litigation cases, what they usually need is they need somebody to develop the mental anguish claim. They need an expert to come in and talk to and meet with a client and do a psychological evaluation to understand kind of all the areas that are going to affect the person over the course of their lifetime. It's almost like a life care plan for psychology. So what we always do is we always try to understand, how much has this person lost pleasure in their life that they're not able to enjoy the basic things that people are able to enjoy anymore, and how long is this going to last, and how much therapy and treatment are they going to need over time to really address whether it be their post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety issues that have come from it, or depression. And is that going to last 5 years, 10 years? How long is that going to be? So we try to develop that argument from a psychological standpoint, okay, and to understand the loss of enjoyment somebody has in life, the loss of just overall functioning and able to do the things they were able to do before, as far as like going to work or just paying the bills. Um, a lot of these clients are not able to work anymore. They're not able to function like they were before, and those are the kind of arguments I think the most of the attorneys are trying to get us to understand better for them.
got it.